What's up, radio-controlled YouTubers, and welcome to Vallone's RC Hobby. I'm your host, Chris Vallone, and each week I'm going to be bringing you the latest and greatest in the world of RC cars, trucks, buggies, truggies, on-road, off-road, and even some vintage RC. Basically anything with four wheels, tearing it up on the pavement or dirt, and maybe even a few RC planes here and there. This will be an RC channel that's going to give you practical and honest information, tips, tricks, opinions, reviews all along the way, maybe even some cinematic highlights as well. So just to quickly give you a bit of background, this is not my first channel here on YouTube. I actually own a business for the past 12 years called Classic VW Bugs. So since 2007 on YouTube, I've had this business where I restore the vintage Volkswagen Beetle. And I do it for clientele. I build them and I ship them all over the world. And I have a link in the description below if you are interested in seeing that channel. Or you can just take a look over my shoulder and see what I got going. So why am I starting this RC channel here January of 2020? Well guys, I gotta be honest, I started with RC back in the mid to late 80s. Yeah, my first hobby grade RC was in 1986, the Tamiya, however you want to pronounce it, Falcon. My first hobby grade kit where you actually had to build it, put your motors in, you had to put your suspension together, the chassis together, oil-filled shocks, all the electronics, and it was a new world for us back in the 80s. The 80s were considered the glory days of RC, and I was about 9 or 10 years old, and you know, there was a time when my block of my friends, we were all getting RC cars, and my mother spent about $300 on the Tamiya RC back then. It was like a kit, and it was a local hobby shop. And again, you didn't have much competition back then, so whoever was local you went to. And so we paid a bundle back then. That was a lot of money back then in 1986. So I was into the RC stuff back in the 80s, even into the early 90s. But I got out of it, of course, as I grew older and got into high school and once gas started to come into play. So I grew away from it. And it wasn't until last year when my father was saying, hey, we got all the old RCs. I had the Tamiya Blackfoot, I had the Monster Beetle, I had my Kyosho Double Dare here, I had the Kyosho USA 1. He's like, you know, why don't we take them off the shelves and get them running again? And you know, you have young nieces and nephews, you gotta show the kids how their RC cars ran. So sure enough, I started taking them apart and putting all new electronics in them. And as you're doing Google searching for parts, what else does Google do? It says, hey, look at the new stuff. Hey, look what we got here. 8th scale. Ooh, new 10th scale. Brushless. LiPo. All terminology I never heard of before. So Google started throwing stuff at me and I started looking into all the new technology, all the new cars that are on the market today. And so thankfully we have YouTube at our fingertips. The information is just fantastic now. Guys, we never used to have this kind of information. We used to just have RC Car Action magazine. I mean, this is a magazine from 1989. This is what we had to wait for each month to come into our mailbox to learn. And if you missed it or if it went into the garbage, you have to wait till the next month. You know, it was one of those things, but now at our fingertips, we have this information. So it wasn't until last year where I jumped back into the hobby and I learned from the channels like Vass from RC Playground. Okay, you got Steve-O from RC Tanks and Trucks. You got the Sailors. You got JT. You got Kevin T from the UK, the nut job. I love him. And then you got Ampro Engineering, which goes back into vintage stuff again. And then RC Driver Online, just to name a few that I was learning this terminology and getting up to speed, and my wife wanted to hang me. She's like, what are you doing? For 2 weeks straight, you're looking at YouTube videos on RC cars. What's going on? I'm like, I want to be a kid again. You know, there's nothing wrong with being a kid again. So my first grade, new gen RC that I dipped into was the DHK Maximus. I did a lot of homework. I didn't want to spend a boatload of money yet on an Arma or a Traxxas, and I wanted to say, I don't know if I'm going to like the hobby or not, so let me just go kind of low-key bit and look at something that's durable and then maybe I can have fun with. Well, I got hooked. I got the DHK Maximus and boom, it was month after month after month I was picking up a new RC in 2019. So now you see I got an arsenal here. I even have some more on the shelves in the back. But I want this channel to give you the practical and honest information that I said before. And you know, I got techniques, guys, with vintage cars that you see behind me. And there's a lot of tinkering and a lot of improvising that we do with these cars. And I can apply those techniques to even these cars. And I'm going to give you the practical and honest reviews and information and where you can save bucks and compare this car to that car. And should you spend this amount or not this amount? And I'm going to be honest with you guys. And look, I'm no expert. I'm still learning, and I would love for you guys to leave comments below and leave a suggestion. This is an open forum, and look, we're all learning all the time as we go along here. But I'm a backyard basher. I race on the road. I'm not some trophy winner here or anything like that. So, you know, chime in whenever you want, and let's keep it family friendly. And I know there's passions. Everyone has their favorites. But look, let's keep it clean, guys. If you know more than, say, me or the other guy that chimed in, let's be civil and let's be friendly to everybody. And I think we'll have a really good time. So I hope you like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. I'm going to be doing videos every week on my Vallone's RC Hobby channel. I hope to see you next week, guys. All right. Take care.
Thank you.